And one. Hey, what is up, everybody? It's Chief here with
the Americano.
The Americano. I got it right this time, right off the bat. So that's good. All right.
Anyway,
so we are really excited because we have our first guest ever on Chief and the Americano podcast. She is, I guess, a personal reporter, roving reporter. I like to say that. We say roving because I see pictures. She's everywhere. Yes, but let's introduce Grace Saldana to our show. Hello, Grace.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're going to put like an audience clapping in the background. We'll see.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, Grace, what's up, girl? Tell us about yourself a little bit and tell the world what you do a little more specifically than I could.
Yeah, so my name is Grace Saldana. I kind of work in everything conservative. I work for a company called Freedom Wire News, so I publish articles there. I make video content for them, and I also work with Right Side Broadcasting Network. So that's why you see me going around to different states. I'm covering the president's rallies in the campaign trail.
Wow, great.
Yeah.
Were you in Vegas?
No, I wasn't in Vegas. I just started covering rallies a couple of weeks ago because he really started,
jumping on stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, sweet. And where are you located right now, Grace?
Right now, I'm in Palm Beach, Florida.
Oh, Florida.
They just opened up the state officially, I believe, on Friday, correct?
Yes, I'm so excited.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're free again.
Wide open. Like, why don't you tell us what is that? Like, what does that mean now? Because here in California, even though nothing's happening, we still can't go to the gym. So what does that mean over there when they say everything's open up? And what's the energy there because they've done that now?
Yeah, so what that means is all the businesses here can open at 100% capacity. Wow. So there's no limits, and they can't fine any citizen here for not wearing a mask.
Wow.
So what that means is, though, I'm not sure what that's going to translate as far as the businesses, because private businesses can do whatever they want, right?
Of course.
And we just choose not to go there if we don't like their rules. So it's highly likely that a lot of businesses are going to still stay closed or make us wear masks and stuff. So it's really up to the businesses. But the state, we can't be penalized. So that's good.
Which is, we sit here, I was just saying, wow. And then I thought about it. How crazy is it that we're excited, taken aback because people have their God-given freedoms back?
Grace, here in LA, I go on hikes pretty frequently all around the city, and I always come back and report to Siaka sort of what the percentage of people are that are wearing masks. And he really couldn't believe me, so he actually joined me on Saturday morning.
Saturday morning, yeah, private.
Beautiful Saturday morning in LA, probably 75 degrees, sun's out,
no cloud in the sky.
We go to I miss that weather. I'm from there.
Right.
So we go to do our hike, and I'd say by the time it was all said and done, probably 90% of the people had on their masks full outside next to each other. And, we basically either shook our head or just kind of snicked every time we went by people. But it just speaks to, again, the mentality here and the fact that, again, a lot of businesses are still shut. Places are at no indoor eating. So everything's outside and, occupancy. So I'm glad that at least Florida has sort of led the way, and hopefully other states will follow.
Yeah, and especially in the sports world, because I know they host a lot of wrestling and a lot of there's football down there too. So hopefully that can the rest of the country can see that. It's funny thing on that hike. The funnier part was when we walked by some people that had their masks down, and then they see us 20 yards away and just go when they walk by. This is
ridiculous.
Yeah, that's gonna protect you from the COVID virus. Ah, damn it, I gotta mute that. Man, I can't.
They act like it's an intelligent virus, like it knows when someone's coming, and you can just spread it by speaking. You can't spread viruses by just having your mouth closed and not sneeze. You have to sneeze or cough or have something to induce viral shedding. So you're not doing any of those things. You're not gonna spread the virus or get the virus.
Let me ask you this then. Why do you think that there's such a uptick on the fear of this virus, and what do you think the real reason is?
The media. I always say, if it wasn't for the media, we would have never spurred into like basically a national lockdown. Not national because it's not like the president said lockdown, but all the states chose to. It's the media, 100%.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and especially as information comes out almost on a daily basis, directly from the CDC, directly from the states reporting. And the fact of the matter is, again, there's a lot of uncertainty, I think, amongst a lot of people about what the actual numbers are in terms of cases and then the number of fatalities. Again, because I always ask the people that are real stringent and want to talk about it, I'm like, do you know anybody that's died of this thing? And obviously they don't. And if they do, they typically say, yeah. And then you ask how old they were, and they were usually like 84, and had, some kind of pre-existing condition. But again, it's the definitely the left-wing media that is leading the charges. And again, that part of it leads into so many other parts of what's going on in this country is sort of the media driving that. And I mean, we can talk about sports if we want. Are you big into sports down there, Grace?
I'm not really big into sports.
Okay.
I'm a typical girl. I'm like, I don't know how to play football.
Good. You ain't missing much because these guys are.
Not that I would, right? Not that even if I was a sports fan, I would end that pretty fast.
We just actually hosted a few folks the other day over for a UFC fight, and really amongst the group that we had over, nobody's watching mainstream sports anyway. Nobody's watching basketball. Nobody's watching the NBA or Hollywood. So I think that's sort of felt, by the numbers that are being reported. And Siaka has a really good check on the pulse of what's going on in Hollywood with the big corporate entities there. So
losing money left and right, and they're doubling down. So I'm really confused on kind of what the plan is for them, because they're like, I mean, did you just see The Rock came out to support? What's your thoughts on The Rock? And did you watch the whole video?
I didn't watch the whole video. I just saw the quote. But here's the thing. It's not about the money to any of these stations, because if it was, they'd change their decision really quick. They're not like your typical business that caters to the customers and what they want and how to make money. It's about pushing an agenda. They'll do it at any cost. And I think it's really sickening. It actually really makes me upset whenever I see things like cancel culture and stuff, and like all the media and the entertainment moguls that are like, you guys need to say this, you need to chant this. It just makes me sick.
I like how you said you need to chant this, because I mean, I know Brian and I have seen it, and it's like, I'm sure you now have seen it. It's just it comes off as a crazy cult type of feeling. Like they just chant without any type of like information behind it. It's just a chant.
Yes.
And what are you seeing then when you're going around? I know you're saying you're going to rallies, and are you from in a sense, opposition? Are you seeing any? Are you talking to anybody from the other side just to kind of see what their point of view is, and how are they?
There's never any opposing force at these rallies. You go there and you might see, actually, so in Virginia on Friday, there was 2 people way outside of the Trump rally. They weren't even close to people. They weren't trying to talk to people and change minds. It was just about standing out there and with their signs that says, Trump killed 200,000 people, the typical COVID talking points that the liberal media likes to use. Mm-hmm. And one guy was dressed up in like a full hazmat suit with a sign too. It was just 2 people. And like I said, they were like, I don't know, a million feet away from all the Trump supporters. They don't want to actually talk to people because they get destroyed so fast.
Yes. There was something cool, interesting I saw was you with Roger Ailes. I know that's one of B's.
Roger Stone.
Stone Ailes. I'm sorry. Roger.
Yeah, I love me some Roger Stone.
Yeah. So God, tell us about that. That was a cool little picture you had there.
He's in Palm Beach. He's in Palm Beach, isn't he?
I don't know exactly where he lives, but he is always here because he's very close with Laura Loomer, and she's running for Congress here. Yeah. So he's at all of her major events. Mm-hmm. And so that picture was at Lobster Feast, which is like a GOP fundraising dinner thing.
Cool.
And it was really cool to see him speak and like talk about his experience left. And they just want to indict anybody who is even met Trump. They just want to get anybody, like especially people who are friends with him. Oh, that's like even better for them. And the fact that he is a free man now just makes them explode. But he's out here and he's telling his message, and it was just really cool to see someone like that.
Yeah. That's gonna be super awesome.
I'm thankful for him and his family. I think that he was absolutely railroaded, and I followed what went on with the whole thing because I'd listened to him speak in the lead up to 2016. And sort of when he got put into that category of people that they were just going to go after, because again, he did influence the election a little bit, but again, it was because of his close relationship with 45. But again, I think it's great that he can be out with his family. And I know his health was failing for a while, but to be able to also be a voice in the next month or so in the lead up to the election, he's an important person.
Oh yeah. So we went to our first rally in Vegas. And we've described it on here, and we have pictures on Instagram and whatnot. And we thought it was amazing. We thought, and it was just like mind blowing, and the people there and everything like that. But we don't want to muddy your experience. I want you to tell us what you've experienced going to Trump rallies.
Yeah, I want to hear about your guys' experience as someone going there, because from when you're going there with the media perspective, it's a little bit different. Now, I have been to Trump events and seen him speak multiple times before them because I'm an ambassador with Turning Point USA, so they often have him at their events, but those are not campaign rallies per se. So it's different when you go to like a campaign event versus when you see him talk to students.
Yeah.
So I have never actually been to a rally as an attendee. I've only been as media, but it's really cool going as media because it's so funny. Like, because we at Right Side, we broadcast for 3 hours straight up until the event live. So none of the other networks do that. And people love to turn around and like chant CNN sucks or fake news. It's so funny because at the rally last weekend, you had so it started on like one side of the crowd and it started like moving towards the other side, and they were chanting CNN sucks and fake news. And then the other side was chanting RSBN, like for Right Side Broadcasting. And they were like shouting our network out because we're the only like Trump supporting network that's there.
Whoa.
Yeah. So when we went to the rally in Vegas, it actually got moved to Henderson, about 20 miles from Vegas. But the shots that people were sending us, because we ended up getting seats right behind the president.
Right behind the president.
So Right Side basically had a shot of me and Chief for literally like 4 hours straight. So our Instagram and our direct message and all of our texts were coming in with people like, look at this shot, and again, me and Chiaka with like our fist pumping. You can
actually see one of them. You can because he likes to come out to proud to be an American, and in the shot, because as you can see, Americano has a real man beard there in the shot. Because they were saying like, okay, wear a mask just for the cameras, but like, so you see, he has like the mask is like looks small in the minute you just see the beard. Proud.
But Grace, you asked about the just the experience in general, and again, it's like you go there and it's really from someone again doesn't have like a sycophantic like mentality towards politicians, like. He moves in, there's a vibe of like a rock concert. When we went Dana White, he spoke prior to, Rick Grinnell spoke, and but when 45 comes out, it's like you just feel the energy of just everybody in the room. And then he is such, again, for someone that again does respect what he does, he's such a leader that you sit and then you look at him, you're like, man, it's just amazing to be able to watch him in his comfortable space. It's like not being attacked, he's not being dogged. It's like he's around people that he knows support him, and again, he loves playing to it, and he's so good at it.
Yeah. And there's one thing that I got, and I always like to mention on here when I get a chance, is like before he started running, I was not a fan of him at all.
No,
I didn't. Really? Yeah, I was like, nah, man. To me, it just came off because it was, of course, media, and they can put it together. It just came off as this like a bombastic, like rich dude that like I have nothing in common with. So why would I sit and watch him? Right. But then, like as time went on, and I remember a quote a year back, like a couple years ago, from Tito Ortiz, who was on the Apprentice with him, and he just talked about how gracious he was, showing him how to become a better businessman. And it's like a lot of times, and especially out here in LA, people aren't as willing to help because they think they may lose their thing, their shine, or whatever it is. And so to hear that, I was like, I mean, this guy has all the money in the world. Like, he doesn't have to help anybody if he doesn't want to. So to go out and do that, and it was, because the way Tito described it was outside of the show. It was something I was like, oh, okay, cool, whatever, but I still wasn't about him. And then he started running, and I'm like, wait a minute, something else is going on. So I wasn't a huge Trump fan at all. And now, like Brian said, when we went to on Americana, we always do that, but I don't think it matters anymore.
It doesn't matter now.
What he said, and it's like we get there, and especially in this day and age, and you brought up cancel culture, and we're at a space where everyone is smiling, everyone's happy, everyone's talking about, they're just kind of going back and forth and having this good vibe of being in a space, being in a country where the truth of the matter is, like, most people don't have much to worry about, in that sense of, like, you're not going to be killed just walking out your front door. And we're in a space where that's acknowledged, that we are trying to hold on to something that is beautiful, and the flag behind you is a great example of this beauty, so it was, we were able to do, we did an NSYNC dance, bye with people back there.
Started a wave.
Yeah, started a wave. We started chanting peaceful protest. Man, it was like, we did like 7 beats with everyone around us. Like, it was just, and everyone's just wanting to, one group was like, do one of us, and they're yelling. It was just like, it was so just fun and playful and dancing. And I mean, I really would like to see what a Joe Biden rally would. I can't even get it out with a straight face. Right? Oh, man. Get all 7 people.
Yeah, Joe Biden can't get a crowd. That's why he doesn't try. But you brought up the peaceful protest thing, and I love that part about Trump rallies, because it's kind of like a joke, this is a peaceful protest, or like, if like compared to what the liberal Black Lives Matter protest. Yeah. But the thing is that they can't technically have campaign rallies in a lot of these states, so they have to list it as an event. Uh-huh. So it literally is a peaceful protest because it's illegal to have that.
Yep.
So even though they treat it as a joke, they have those signs because.
And again, Grace, that's a good segue into just sort of like the craziness of this election year, right? No big campaigns along the way. We'll see how this debate plays out tomorrow and if there's more of them. But again, what's going on with the voting? I know Project Veritas had something drop today with regards to Harvard balloting in Minnesota. So what do you think?
Omar's people.
What do you think is going on with the election, and what are your thoughts after November 3rd?
Well, number one, I think Trump is going to win the election. I have no doubt in my mind that he is going to win. There's no possible way. Here's the thing, like, for voter fraud to work, it has to be done outside of blue areas. And because that's where all the votes are, obviously. But the big places that it happens are already blue states, like New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. You see occasional incidences like we saw in Wisconsin and Arizona and places like that, but it's not necessarily widespread, unless I don't know what they're planning and what they're plotting, and that's what we have to be worried about, because if it does become widespread, then it is a threat. So we need to treat it like a threat, even if we're not completely sure.
What? Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, what do you think? I mean, because we saw it, as B mentioned, the ballot harvesting just in Minnesota itself, in Ileana Omar's district, with where people connected. What do you think should happen, and how swiftly should these things happen?
I think they should investigate immediately. Like right now, it shouldn't have to be Project Veritas exposing them. There should be more investigations underway. And in my opinion, like, just from optics of what I've seen over the past few months, it seems almost like the DOJ is, for lack of a better word, short-staffed. Like, it's only Attorney General William Barr doing all the big things. He's the only one really leading directives on a lot of investigations. Everybody else is playing games, and obviously there's like this swamp, and so I don't know how many people in the DOJ are still swamp rats, things like that. But to me, it seems like they're not able to work at a fast enough pace.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Brian and
that's why we need citizen journalists like Project Veritas.
Yep, that's right. That's why we need you guys down there on the ground and just kind of telling people how you see it, as opposed to corporate advertisement based narrative, It's crazy in that sense. I was gonna say, because Brian, he brought up the debate. So if you would have to guess, if you're a betting person, what is your thought on the debate actually happening? Because there's a lot of people. I'm still 50-50 personally. But what do you think? You think it's going to go down, or you think they're going to pull something?
I think it's going to happen. I've been saying this for a long time. Like it's going to happen because first of all, Joe Biden committed to it a month ago, and not like that really means a lot to the Democrats. But here's the thing: for Joe Biden to come out and say so firm, and like he actually made media appearances to say this, so that's the other part. Like he doesn't make media appearances, so if he's gonna go out there and sit there and say I am debating Donald Trump, then I think he's gonna do it, and he hasn't pulled out yet. Everyone thought he was going to try to pull the COVID thing, like because he was having a cough or something a couple weeks ago. Everyone's like, "Oh, here it goes. It's starting. Biden's going to drop out of the debate." But I don't think he's going to drop out, and we're already about almost 24 hours away. So
yeah. Ooh, that's going to be a good.
All I know is there's always late cancellations in events throughout history, whether it's sports or concerts or whatever it is. So
hanging out.
I think the reason that he would debate is because that side is they have such a level of hubris that they think that they could figure out a way to basically spin it or make it so that it's not a big deal, right? Because they'll just try to change the storyline immediately after it happens, right? To Trump's taxes, or again, the other thing is we know this next 30 days, it's like there's going to be more women that come out. There's going to be more stuff about his finances. They're going to go after his children. It's like it's no holds barred for the next 30 days. So it's like it starts again tomorrow with the debate. Like me and Steve have been saying for a while, I just can't imagine it happening. I hope that it does.
Man.
Well, here's the thing. They have to debate because we watched the DNC convention. We've seen what they've been saying over the past few months. They're not offering any policy. They're only offering platitudes. And the only policy that I have seen them even touch on is whenever they steal Trump's talking points about law and order. Like Joe Biden a month ago, I think he did say that he was the one for law and order and Trump was for the riots and anarchy.
Yeah.
They always like to flip it around and steal Trump's platform and all this. So I think they have to get out on the debate stage and talk, because if they don't, I mean, people are already flocking to the Trump campaign. And like, for example, in Pennsylvania, since 2016, the GOP has registered 7 times more voters than the Democrats have.
Really?
7 times, yeah. It was like 198,000 voters.
Yeah, I've seen a few of those statistics come in over from states, just people that are just enrolling to vote, and it's really swing to the right in almost every state, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So I don't think they have a choice. I think they have to come out and debate.
You don't think they have a concern though that he's going to go out there and malfunction in the 90 minutes that he's in that sort of high pressure environment?
He could, but the interesting thing too is that Trump was calling for Biden to have a drug test. Today, Biden said he won't do it. Yeah. I think they, like you said, I think they think that they're gonna work through this somehow, find a way.
True, I think so.
Until
they wake up tomorrow and realize they have to change his diaper.
Yeah. You notice there's something wrong with like every single high level Democrat, like Nancy Pelosi and Jerry Nadler. Both of them had weird things happen lately.
I always talk about how it's sort of
Sunday morning.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
We talk about how it's reflective of just like it's totally symbolic of sort of the state of their party. It's like me and C talk about. Look, you could have handed this over to Bernie Sanders, and he would have legitimately had a chance to beat Donald Trump just because of his platform, his people, and some of the things that he hit on. But they said no. They wouldn't let Tulsi Gabbard play it all. Yep. They didn't want Andrew Yang to play it all. And it's like the people that want to be in charge, the ones that you just mentioned, again, are these like symbolically look like they're just about to just keel over, and it's kind of ironic.
Well, I mean, it's because they're easier to control. They've been in politics so long, on one side for so long. People like Bernie Sanders, they can't control. And Tulsi Gabbard, they can't control either. She's too central. And,
Hey, so have you been on the ground at all during any of the protests that have gotten escalated at all?
I have only been on the ground for anti-lockdown protests because I'm actually from San Diego. So I lived there up until July. I moved to Florida. But I didn't leave because of policy. Everyone likes to ask that. But I moved for a job. But yeah, I went to those protests, but I did not go to any Black Lives Matter protests because for me, it's too much of a risk as like a girl and a young, pretty girl. I have been to liberal protests and I've been yelled at just based off of those circumstances. And I can't go to one of those.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's crazy, and it's one of the reasons that sort of Siak and I like sort of low key like first started getting involved in this game was during the LA riots a few months or so ago, and him and I were out after curfew. It was a 6 o'clock curfew, and we were out on a few blocks from where we live. And we were just sort of like front and center for a police bus with a rioter coming around the corner with a big screen in the back seat and the helicopters and the guns pulled. And me and Siak were like, man, this is a real thing going on. These people are coming from outside our community into where we live, and they're really bringing destructive stuff. And that snowballed into how can we get involved with Gavin Newsom and how can we get involved in local politics. And it's snowballed in the last couple months. It was
crazy when those people even before that, we're walking down the street, and at the gas station, there are like 3 cars and people just that don't seem like they're from the neighborhood. And they kind of.
You have to get that internet fixed.
Why is my thing acting up? So the person who's running it, he's looking at me like this, eyes wide open, and I just look at him like, I got you. And then that's when all of a sudden, B's like, no, he pulls me back. I'm like, what? I look up, and that's when the helicopters are coming in, and this car looks like Dukes of Hazzard. It comes spinning around the corner. TV, the door's bouncing off this. What was it, like a 68 or 86 inch
gigantic television in the back.
Oh my god! And then they were chased by like 6 or 7 cop cars, and they got caught them. And then we turn around, and the cars that were in the gas station gone. Mm-hmm. They just took off. And
oh my gosh!
Oh no, it was, and that was like nothing.
Well, and again, furthermore, you fast forward to basically present day, and you look at the areas where they did riot and the areas that were affected in LA, which just a couple of them, Melrose Avenue, very notable. Yeah. Oh yeah, man! There's a stretch of Melrose that literally, basically looks like a war zone. Everything is everything's plywooded up. A ton of the businesses have closed. It's really.
They're shooting craps.
They were playing a game of craps on the corner of like Melrose Avenue and at a Starbucks. Yeah.
And then across the street where other people sitting there playing craps. It's going down the road that I feel like they wanted to. I mean, you look at, we have 50% of the homeless population here in just California. It went up 20%, even though we spent $1.3 billion last year. There's 10 cities, pretty much any underpass you drive.
You saw it in San Diego, right?
Well, let me tell you something about San Diego. So they have Republican Mayor Kevin Faulconer, and yes, so I live in North County and near the Marine base, and we had a ton of homeless people there. And I think it had something to do with the train and like the county jail, Orange County, down stopping as like the first stop, as I've heard, but I'm not sure. But because they have a Republican mayor, he was able to bring homelessness down 30% in 2 years.
Wow.
So
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you know like what specifically he did in order to accomplish some of those goals?
Yeah, he just improved like transitioning programs for homeless people. He focused on people who are recently unemployed and living out of their car, and he made like designated zones for people who were living out of their cars to park in instead of like store or something. And he was able to get the right resources to those people and get them back employed and get them in like proper shelter and things like that. So he focused on those people. And then he did other measures too for like more severe cases, like people who are on drugs and things like that. But he was really able to just make a difference by just implementing any kind of policy to help anyone. Yeah. But the problem is a lot of like liberal mayors and stuff won't do that kind of stuff, especially in San Francisco. Oh, actually in LA, what is it, the rule? Like if they plot there with a tent for 48 hours, the police can't tell them to leave.
Yeah, something like that. It's like
that.
what is it like? It's a free free domain. I forget the name of it, but it's the idea of like it's free domain and they stay there long enough, then it's okay. We actually had people protesting an individual that put like these huge rocks in Culver City under an underpass so that he couldn't put tents there. And BLM, I don't even know what to call them anymore, but the people who are for homelessness basically went there and they were saying it's white supremacists and there's all this. It feels like the expectation of life and what we should want in this world is just lowered, and we should be okay with that lower standard, and wanting more, then you're demonized as a white supremacist or lost or a sellout or whatever it is. It's actually, it's a loser mentality.
That's the thing about Joe Biden. The bar is so low for him.
Yeah.
The left celebrates every time he comes out of the basement, every time he talks to the press who gives him softball questions. He's like, the bar is so low for these people, and they're masters at that, at like making that happen. And you almost can't be mad at them because they're so good at it. Yeah. And I mean, it's not their fault that people believe it, really, but still.
Well, it is their fault because they've been working on it for like 20 years, if not more. I mean, to get us thinking that like, the left that we should want is the best we can get, you know, and that's the thing that you shouldn't want. I mean, it started that, at least I see it with some things like a quote unquote body shaming, right? Yeah. So just to say like, hey man, you should, you know, stay off the ho-hos, you know, go get a walk or 6 in, you know, something like that. All of a sudden now you're fat shaming. And so they use these techniques so that people who are in a sense outside of the victim group can't say nothing because you don't get it. You never, as of this, as of that. And you're like, all right, man, good luck with your life. You know, that's what it feels like sometimes. It's craziness out there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we've hit the mark. And Grace, you are awesome. Can you come back?
Yeah, I can come back anytime.
Let us know. Yeah, keep us informed on what's going on in Florida, so we can report back to the locals here in California and let them know what's going on the other side of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, Florida, we know, is an important swing state, and we're interested to see how that's going to go. So,
since Bloomberg and LeBron are buying criminals' votes, so that'd be cool to see how that works out. What's the sentiment, real quick before we go?
Another investigation that should be opened up. That's what the sentiment is.
Agreed. I completely agree with that.
Afternoon, right, Grace? I mean, give me and Grace a staff of a few people, and we can get
right. It'll be on.
It'll be all ready to go. Well, awesome, Grace. Thank you so much for joining us and taking your time out. Keep fighting a good fight and keep telling the truth.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
That, Grace?
Where you
at?
You can follow me at Grace Saldana. So it's GraceSaldanaa.
Awesome. And I will put everything and all the links and all the news organizations she's a part of in our link below. I like pointing here, even though it's always below. So it's always this one. Yes. We'll tell you guys what's going on with her, and you can follow her and keep up with Grace as she goes around to these rallies and but shows people what's really going on. So thank you again, guys, and we'll see you later. Grace, you can do some because we don't have any copyright, so we like to, or at least I like to do a little. It's like a da 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 da.